standing at the border of what we used to know. 5 points in the darkness make a different kind of show. They say we're better together, but what do they know when the stars align differently down here below? And maybe we'll rise when we cut all the ties. There's a flag that we fly under our own sky. Remember all the stories that your granddad told about a republic that wouldn't be controlled. Now the suits in the city say we've all been sold, but there's a fire burning that just won't get old. And maybe we'll rise when we cut all the ties. There's a flag that we fly under our own sky. They draw their lines on paper, we draw ours in the sand. Some dreams are getting closer, while some don't understand. Don't understand. The highways stretch forever toward a setting sun, where cattle graze on memories of battles won. They say unity's the answer, but maybe we're done with playing by the rules of the chosen ones. Oh, maybe we'll rise when we cut all the ties. There's a flag that we fly under our own sky. And maybe we'll rise when we cut all the ties. There's a flag that we fly under our own sky. Our own sky. Our own sky.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's that time again where we're doing late night coffee talk, and I'm excited. So excited that I only came in here with a partial cup of coffee. So, you know, it's been a little bit busy, but I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. Just a real quick reminder. We try to do this every single Thursday night at 8 p.m., time allowing, right? So sometimes, like last week, unforeseen circumstances, not able to do it. And that's exactly what happens. Matter of fact, if you saw my post on Texian, then you know specifically that it was technical issues, and I am here to show you the culprit. Yeah, that little thing right there. So, anyway, done. We're back. No more technical problems for now, and that's not me being a pessimist. It's just me being a realist. And I'm going to be here with you for the next hour or until the questions run out, whichever, comes first. So be sure to get your questions in. Let me get the business out of the way first. If you're joining us for the first time, I'm Daniel Miller, president of the Texas Nationalist Movement, and this is Late Night Coffee Talk. It is that time once a week where I take a break from working on Texas independence, come in here, fire up the camera and the microphone, and I take your questions. And we talk about TEXIT, we talk about the TNM, we talk about the general political landscape, geopolitics, self-determination, kind of whatever you want to talk about. As long as it's in my wheelhouse and I can answer it, I definitely give it the old college try. How do you ask questions? You ask? Well, you just asked one. No. Here's how you ask questions. It's quite simple. Wherever you're watching this, drop your questions in chat. Now, hopefully, you're one of the cool kids and you're watching this on the Texian app. Yes, the Texian app, our very own. Like cool, like our very own. Like I'm literally on here right now, right live. Our very own mobile app, web app, whatever you want to call it, the framework and backbone of the Texas Nationalist Movement and the fight for Texas independence. Way more than just some sort of social app. You got to go check it out, Texian.app. But you can ask your questions in chat there. Those are definitely taking priority, so you might want to go check it out if you haven't done so already. Yeah, I got it up and running right there. Yes. In fact, Lori just spotted it. There is a donate button on the page now, right? On Texian, something we did not have before for the live streams, but it's there now. First time out, so we'll run the test on it, see how it goes. But look, if you're watching on YouTube right now, you can like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, drop your question in chat. Super Chat is active over there. And while we would prefer that Google didn't take its 30% bite, you can Super Chat over there. Super cool. So do that if you're on YouTube and plan on staying there. Same thing, Facebook, right? Do all the cool Facebook things. Drop your question in chat. If you're on X, do likewise. And for some reason, we're not on Rumble tonight. I don't know what's happening over there. Something weird, but we're not on Rumble tonight. So there's all your majors. Texian, Facebook, X, YouTube, all your majors. We're there, and I am prepped and ready to take your questions. See, it's already happening. Now, the one thing we haven't done yet is we haven't got it to where questions that are asked. Oh, you know what? Pause. Self-edit. Maybe I need a swig of this as long as it lasts. Okay. I forgot. You can email your questions to Coffee Talk. It's all one word, Coffee Talk @thetnm.org. And I do take those questions via email as well. So anyway, as I was saying before I interrupted myself, one thing we haven't gotten worked out yet is, if you're asking your question on YouTube or X or Facebook, it pops up on the screen. We could show it. We obviously can't do that for email, but we don't have it set up for Texian yet. But I think some changes may be coming, and that may be something that happens in the near future. We'll find out. Requires a lot more. Let's just say there's a lot of things that are higher priority than that right now. All right, here we go. I'm so woefully short. I'll square that away here in a minute. You guys may get like a music video or something. It could very well happen. All right, so let's take this question. This is from the Texian app, and it says, will you and or Kara be wandering over to Houston for the RPT convention. In fact, Kara and I will both be there. I don't know what the schedule is, but we will both be there working the booth at various times. So if you get a chance, if you're there, drop by the exhibit hall and be sure. I think we're booth 724. I think it is, and you'll see us. I mean, there's not going to be any confusion as to where the TNM is. So be sure to check us out there. But yeah, we will definitely be there along with a whole host of volunteers. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. All right, let me check that one. It was approved. Oh, look at that. Thank you very much. We're gonna be working the booth together. It's gonna be fun. Okay, thank you very much. Look at that. Not only was she fielding your questions, she's making sure I'm caffeinated enough to answer them coherently. So you might want to drop Kara a big thank you in the comments of the chat. All right, so we got that one out of the way. Let's go take a look over here at email real quick. See where we left off. Okay, this is also a convention related question. This is from Eric. Eric asks, he says, will TNM communication coordination for next week's GOP convention be managed through the TEXIT app via text messaging or through a specific point of contact? Okay, so it's a good question. And this is going to give me an opportunity to talk about something cool. So if you did not see the post on TEXIT 3-4 days ago, maybe, there were a lot of new things that were launched on the TEXIT app. One of those is public petition campaigns. We have one up there right now where you can not only sign the petition, sign a petition, but share it with other people. So that's one. And I'm not going to go into all those. I'm not going to go into that feature in depth tonight, but I would just encourage you to go check it out. It's real self-explanatory. But the other is that we launched a feature that was on the roadmap already when we started the process of planning out building the TEXIT app. Because remember, TEXIT app is not just a social network. It is our organizing platform. And so one of the things that had always been on our list is the ability to coordinate with volunteers and people that were at the event during the event using our own app, right? Because otherwise you have to go set up a Signal group or a Telegram group or use any number of tools, and they sort of kind of work, but not really. And so there was just never the right tool. And so one of the features that we were able to launch this last week was that very thing. So to your point, and this goes not just for people that are volunteering to help at the convention or going to be delegates or whatever, but this is kind of moving forward with all of these events that are in the field, whether they're big ones like conventions or for all of you local leadership, you guys in the counties that are doing outreach. What happens is you go RSVP to that event, and the event organizer has the ability to hit a single button and create a chat channel, just like we would have a Telegram group or a Signal group or whatever. And it's all within our infrastructure, all operates through one app, all connected to the event. So my first thing is, if you are going to the convention as a delegate, as an alternate, as an exhibitor, as one of our volunteers, whatever it is, your first step is go on the TEXIT app and be sure you RSVP to the event. Check the box, tell us that you're coming, okay? The second thing is we would not use text messaging for that. That is, talk about reply all hell, right? We've all been in one of those text threads and couldn't get out of it, whatever. We wouldn't do that. But the third part of what you asked there is about a specific point of contact. Look, if you're going to be at the convention and can even carve out, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it is, to do a volunteer shift at the booth, please get with Lori Brunick. Lori is coordinating. She's helping organizational development coordinate on the ground kind of activity there at the convention. And I know for a fact she's working on filling out the volunteer roster. But it's not just about volunteering at the booth. If you're going to be a delegate or an alternate, we need to be able to communicate and interface with you. So drop Lori Bruning an email. She's in chat on TEXIT right now. So if you want to just connect with her, there you can do that. But she's also available through every other channel you can possibly imagine. She'll pop her email in the chat, I'm sure. But yeah, all the communication coordination are being done. It's all being handled. We just need to know who all's going to be there. Now, we sent out an email to everyone that we could potentially, that potentially on our list that could potentially be a delegate or an alternate or whatever. In other words, I'm saying the word potentially a lot, but what I'm trying to tell you is that everyone on our list that we have within our supporters that we could positively identify as a previous delegate or alternate or that had previously volunteered should have gotten an email. Now, granted, that's not going to cover everyone, right? We don't get a list of all the delegates and alternates from the RPT. We're not allowed to have that information. So we have to take a stab at it and hope that we cover all the bases. So odds are is that if you had previously volunteered for one of the convention campaigns or had indicated at some point that you're like a precinct chair or whatever, there is an email in your email box from Lori right now that you could reply to. And I know some of you have done that. So be sure you make that happen. All right. Thank you for that question, Eric. Excuse me. All right, let's get over here and see what we got. Oh my God, there's more over here. Okay. Here, let me do this. Susan wants to know, is this where we post our questions? Yes, that is where you post your questions, just like that one that I just answered. So post away. Okay. Whew, man, we're getting straight into the heaviness tonight. So Derek says, how do you feel about civil war happening? So Karen and I went over Tuesday night and had dinner with a couple from our church. And while we were stepping outside, myself and George started having this conversation. And he literally asked me this question. I mean, not exactly the same, but pretty much exactly the same. And what I told him was that if you go look at the polling before the November election, right? So in other words, the last presidential election, the polling running into that was, I think it was like 40%, 40 or 45% of Americans, which is a ridiculous polling methodology, believe that the United States was headed for civil war in the next 10 years. And I said immediately after that to a lot of pushback and blowback from people that I thought even after the election results that every day that the odds of that are steadily higher, right? At the point you've got 40% of people who believe that dialogue has broken down to the point that within a decade we'll be in a civil war. That becomes one of those sort of snowballs rolling downhill. So I will say this, and this is what I told George. I said there's been nothing to mitigate the pressure, the conditions that existed that drove that 40 to 45% number. There's been nothing that really mitigates that at all. If anything, the pressure may be even higher now than it was. And what have we seen? We've seen an escalation of political violence since the election. We've seen polarization at an all-time high. We've seen trust in what were used to be considered core institutions. Congress has bottomed out, their approval rating. People that trust the media, that number has bottomed out. So what you're seeing is a systemic breakdown of what had traditionally been some of the pillars, the foundations of what held this thing together. And so how do I feel about it happening? I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like that we even have to talk about it. But the fact is, if we're going to be true and honest people, then we have to talk about the the things that are real in this world. And the reality is, the trends are pointing toward a direction that says if Texas does not get its independence in other states, in other words, if we don't stop pretending like this is all one people and that all this other kind of nonsense, then the odds climb ever higher. You know, the position has been my position has been for years and years and years now, and you can go back to the my book from 2011, Line in the Sand, where I talk about this. And it's really and truly, you're going to submit and surrender, right? That's one option that you have. You're going to agree that separation is the right way to go and release that pressure, or this thing will devolve into balkanization and civil war, and you don't want that. No one that is sane wants that to happen. So reality, it's on the radar, and it's a concern that I have every single solitary day. And it's part of the urgency, or part of what drives the urgency, my personal urgency, to see Texas independence, across the finish line, to, in effect, extract ourselves from that situation and let that pressure die down a bit. Look, it's a civil war would effectively be a fight over control of Washington, D.C. And so, therefore, if you want to avoid that, then you avoid the trap that is set by focusing so much on control of Washington, D.C. Texas, let Texas be Texas, let California be California, let New York be New York, let Minnesota be Somalia. But at the end of the day, we can agree that we shouldn't be lording our power over each other. Let them be them, let us be us, and then we'll get along just fine. So anyway, thank you for that question, Derek. Ooh, took a hard turn there. Yikes. Hey, thank you to El Ray Mon 77, who is a brand new YouTube member. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate your support over there on YouTube. All right. There we go. This is going to be a fun one. I knew this was coming because of my post on TEXIT. What info have we been waiting for since 2016? And just so you guys know, this came from a post that I made on the TEXIT app earlier, announcing that we were back on for late night coffee talk, and this is literally what I said. Back for late night coffee talk tonight. I'm working on something very important, so I will not be there as long. So I will be there as long as there are questions, or up to 1 hour max. You guys are about to get a piece of information you've been asking for since 2016. And look, and I don't know if this is underwhelming. This may be underwhelming for you, but I have been deep at the tail end of reviewing something that, like I said in the post, people have been asking for since 2016. So some of you may remember back in 2015, we released a report called "Can Texas Make It?" Right, CTMI. Right, that's what we called it. And essentially, what it did was a very short study on kind of some raw numbers, basically how much what Texans have to pay for all levels of government, and then determine based off of that overall burden whether that could be, that could sustain a self-governing independent nation. Because that's one of the things the opposition loves to talk about. And of course, one of the numbers that surfaced from there was this 120 to 160 billion dollar overage, and that report with the most conservative figures showed 103 billion annual overage. And that report has stood for a very long time, but literally within a year after we released it, people were like, we want updated numbers. We want updated numbers. And so it had been on the radar for a very long time. And this was the year. right? So 2026 was the year where it was like, okay, cool. So 2025 been 10 years since we released it. Now, that's over with. So we got a 10-year gap. So now let's do it and release one for 2026. And so part of a good chunk of my day has been spent reviewing the data. And I got to say that this is a far more sophisticated analysis and report than what we previously had, beyond beyond a shadow of a doubt. Hang on, I'm facing the wrong way. It's driving me crazy. There we go. Yeah, much better. So I mean, there it is. And what it is essentially a study that shows every dimension of our economic relationship to the federal government. Obviously, I mean, if it was everything, we would have a 300-page report. It's not that, because that would be impenetrable and nobody could do it. But all the data is still there underlying the final report. And essentially what we did that is different than what we had before was, instead of looking at these raw flows, which is kind of what like the Rockefeller Center did, or some of these other guys, when they did that Wallet Hub or whoever those knuckleheads are, they just look at these raw flows and they don't look at the real numbers and ask the real question. But what we did was we took not just the flows of federal money, but we looked at the state burdens, including matching fund requirements, federal mandates, unfunded mandates. We looked up one side and down the other at the Social Security issue, the Medicare issue, and then we looked at the debt, and it's the federal debt and its impact on this number. And we looked at inflation and its impact on this number. And what we got, and there's some takeaways. I'm not going to spoil it for you tonight, because it's not, like I said, I'm reviewing all of this, making sure that it's ready for publication. But I'm going to tell you that it is absolutely startling. And I'm going to also say this: if you're watching this and you are under 40 years old, you are going to be furious, right? You're going to be absolutely furious at what the federal system is doing to us. But I will tell you, here's some takeaways. Without a doubt, Texas has no problem funding itself as a self-governing independent nation. Not that there is no doubt, there is no position whatsoever that can be taken by the opposition that says that Texas can't make it as an independent nation. Another key takeaway is that our relationship with the federal government makes that 120 to 160 billion annual overpayment. By the time you factor in debt and inflation, that you would wish that it would be 120 billion. You would wish that it would be 160 billion in overpayment, because those things eat up so much more. So those are some of the initial takeaways. I mean, there's a lot more, and we'll be talking about it as we get ready to release it. But I want to thank everyone who had made donations, who have kept the organization moving and grooving, because were it not for your support, this report would not be possible. And it literally decimates every time somebody in the opposition says that Texas is too dependent on the federal government to become an independent nation. It is absolute, utter garbage. What will be interesting will be to take the core sort of methodology from this and apply it and aim it to the 49 other states. That's going to be fun too. Now, not that we're going to do that. This report will be ready. I suspect it will be released, because we're going to release it to the media as well. I'm suspecting it will be released either next week or the week after. But it's going to be, I guarantee it will wind up in the hands of every single legislator in the next session, without a doubt. All right. So that's the thing. And so all of you that have been asking for this since 2016, updated figures, the new methodology, you saw it on the screen. There's the cover page here. I'll even do this too. I'll even scroll through it really fast. So all of you guys that can do your screen capture want to look at it. There you go. Look at that. Reading the numbers honestly. Texas is a taker, is an accounting illusion. It's very true. Addresses all the objections, lots and lots of data and figures. Let's go down here to some of the tables. Oh, and here's something else. Here was another clear takeaway. Here's something that should bother any Texan. The federal government can no longer tell you in one honest accounting how much of its spending actually lands in Texas. And so part of the research findings showed that the federal government stopped reporting those numbers. Like this one here. There was an annual federal aid to states report and a consolidated federal funds report, and those were killed in DC in 2012. That's it, and it's only gotten worse. The way the federal government maintains its books, I'm sure all of you probably are not going to be surprised by the fact that their accounting is quite opaque. So there you go. Anyway, thank you for that question. So time to deliver, right, on something you guys have been asking for quite some time. All right, let's go over here and take a look. And we are clear there. And we are, see if we're clear here. Okay, we are clear here. So I got one more question in the hopper, and then if that's it, then I'm going to get back to it because I want to get this report finished and done. Okay, here we go. This question is from Susan. Susan asks, are we ever going to have it where seniors who have paid their homes off will no longer have to pay property taxes? Susan, if I could wave a magic wand, I would see to it that property taxes were eliminated for everyone, because property taxes, right alongside of income taxes, for me, are fundamentally immoral taxes. They are immoral. And so seeing property taxes go away. But if you're concerned about seniors, then, you know, Texas has already got some exemptions in place, and they seem to be working that end of it. But the challenge that you've got there is if the burden is still exactly the same or higher, and you start carving certain groups of people out, then you're just effectively shifting the burden to those people that are left. And, you know, it's not these carve outs are not uber popular with the people that are not seniors. So super, super important. I like this. So Will, let me finish this and I'll get to this next question. So, you know, that there's already talk about that, but really and truly, the real goal should be the complete elimination of property taxes, period, because they're fundamentally immoral. So that's where that stands, and that's something that can be done this side of total independence, right? Total 100%. This is something that is policy that can be handled now. Now, I will tell you, given the amount of money that we wind up saving from no longer having that giant leech sucking our money away, aka Washington, D.C., the equation to eliminate property taxes becomes much, much, much easier. So something to bear in mind. Anyway, thank you very much for that question. All right, let me do this one here. Will bypassed. Will didn't even go to chat, right? Not YouTube, not Texian, not these. Will just comes straight to the chat, and he's like, "Hey, would the Can Texas Make It report make a good July this month at the T&M? Very likely so, and we'll have that discussion at some point. And if you don't know what that is, folks, you need to familiarize yourself. Every single month, Will Casey does this month at the T&M, and I will show you where you find that, right? So on the Texian app, there it is, right? So you go to media, and then you'll have this month at the T&M, and at the very first of every month, he posts a brand new video to talk about what's happening this month in the T&M. So That's what you got to do. Go there, check that out, and be sure you don't miss it every single solitary month. All right, I'm gonna give our stragglers one last stab. Let's see here. Ooh, lots of questions over here. Okay, on the Texian app. Cheryl says, your thoughts on the growth of data centers and large businesses jumping into Texas. Look, at the risk of sounding like I'm in favor of these things, I want to just clarify my thought on this, right? We want business here. Business is good for the economy. It's why we're the 8th largest economy in the world. And you know what we found out is that the massive fear of big corporations moving in, bringing a lot of out-of-staters, shifting the demographics, that has not played out as much as we have seen demographic and voting shifts from the federal policy of essentially empowering these people to flood Texas with H-1B visa holders, right? Or not even unrestricted immigration. I mean, just thoughtless immigration. Let's just say that. So we're seeing more of demographic shifts in relation to that, particularly when it comes to voting attitudes, and that's what I'm talking about, right? So don't mistake that I'm anti having big business here, because it's good for all of us as long as all of those other things are taken care of, and they're not being taken care of. But to your question about data centers, I will say this. So during this last campaign cycle, as I worked with certain candidates in my private business, one of the things that was pretty shocking to everyone was how the issues of water and data centers jump to the top of the list, particularly in rural districts, right? So you've already got infrastructure problems here in Texas, right? We have we've got grid issues, we've got water issues that haven't been taken care of, not to mention transportation and road issues, right? So because of the unprecedented level of growth in Texas population, we've got a lot of infrastructure issues that need to be taken care of. And so, number one, I'm fundamentally opposed to Trump's order to basically say states cannot regulate data centers. I think it's garbage. I think states, that's not his call to make. The states need to be able to implement these things in a way that makes sense for their people, which brings me to the second thing. The data centers that are coming in, there has got to be some mechanism for communities to say no. There's got to be a mechanism for Texas to protect its agricultural land, to not further strain our infrastructure, whether it's electricity, whether it's water, whatever it is. You know, I'm not concerned about whether or not a data center has water if I've got a city that can't guarantee that it's going to have water for its population. You know, I don't know that we need to be putting any further strain on our water infrastructure, our electrical infrastructure, when unrestricted growth in major metropolitan areas is not forcing, but putting rural areas in a situation where they're having to give up their water to these major metropolitan areas and these developers. And so this, to me, exposes what is absolutely, I think, the next great political divide in Texas. And it's not Republican versus Democrat. It's not blue versus red. It's not conservative versus progressive. I think it's rural versus urban. I think that's where the next major divide is going to take place. And rural Texas is being left out of the conversation far too often about things that affect them. And so I fully expect over the next few sessions that is going to be the big tussle. And I'm going to tell you, the T&M is going to stand for all Texans, right? And that includes, and especially rural Texans who need a voice, more of a voice in what's happening. And when you've got these data centers coming in that are threatening effectively infrastructure, you got to remember when the winter storm, snowpocalypse came, we were like a minute away from a total grid collapse. Now, while some of that has improved, right? They've run new lines and they've done some things to the grid. The reality is that our infrastructure cannot maintain the same pace as the growth in our population. And so consequently, we've got to figure out how we're going to dial that back some, ramp up infrastructure and dial that back. And part of that dialing it back means getting absolute control back over our border in immigration policy, right? Because until, this is the case that we've made for a very long time, is that Texas, I think I even mentioned it in the TEXIT book, is that Texas should very likely, given the rate of infrastructure growth that has to happen versus our population growth, Texas should, as an independent nation, implement what is very similar to an Australian style point system. So it's not, oh, come all ye faithful, or just some kind of random lottery, or, hey, let's let big corporation fire all the people that live here and ship in a bunch of brand new people from outside of the country, aka H-1B visas. So it's a definite major policy point, and it's definitely going to have to be addressed. So it's a big deal. Look, and I've got other concerns about it as well. If you have not checked out Ben Jordan's YouTube channel, he did a really fascinating video on oddly the acoustic and sound effects of having data centers near your city, town, neighborhood, whatever it is. And it is that and his whole series on flock cameras is just incredible. I can't recommend it enough. Okay. Let's see here. New World screwworm. Yeah. So this question, let me see if I can find where it was. Has there been any news on the screwworms that were discovered in South Texas? So yeah, as of today that I know of, because I had to gen out some policy papers, it was confirmed that New World screwworm was found in cattle in South Texas. So what that means is that because they knew it was in Mexico, and supposedly, as we've been told, the border between Texas and Mexico is secured, that we were copacetic, right? As of like 2-3 days ago, it was 25 miles away. So what that essentially means is someone was allowed to bring an infected cow uninspected across the Texas-Mexico border. And now it is north of the border in Texas. Now, we think of weapons of mass destruction, like biological weapons, chemical weapons, nuclear weapons, whatever it is. I would posit to you that New World screwworm is effectively a weapon of mass destruction. And talk about decimating your economy. And I'm not saying it's intentionally being deployed as a weapon. That's not my point. But my point is the effect is essentially the same. And so I want every one of you out there to think about this. When you hear somebody say, hey, what do we got to worry about? The border's secure, or we've stopped all these. Somebody brought in effectively a weapon of mass destruction across the Texas-Mexico border, and did so to the point that now we're having to deal with that on our side of the border, right? If they say it's only in Mexico, it's 25 miles away, we're all good. And all of a sudden now we're not good, and there's only one way that stuff could have come across the border, then I think we are all full enough of common sense, put two and two together and say, well, it had to come across the border, and therefore the border is not as secure as we're being told it is, right? They didn't smuggle infected cattle under the back seat of an old Pinto, right? Or some kind of ridiculous nonsense, right? They didn't hollow out the seat cushions in a minivan and stuff an infected cow in there. Somebody put it in a trailer and trailered it across. And if they can do that with one of these infected cattle, then what else can they do that with? I'm just saying this to say, number one, Texas is obviously going to have to go back to protecting its own border because the federal government cannot. And number two, they're lying to you about the border being as secure as it is. Well, we've lowered interdictions. Well, maybe you have lowered interdictions, but explain to me the trailer load of cattle that got across, that got cattle on this side of the border infected. right? So I'm telling you, don't believe the hype, don't believe the propaganda, believe what you see with your eyes. They are telling you that it's here. Follow the trail and understand that it only could have gotten here if the border was not as secure as they have sworn up and down it is. I mean, they might as well have had a parade and had W fly in on an aircraft carrier with a banner that said mission accomplished, when we know, in fact, it's not. Okay. All right. Thank you, Stephen, for that question. All right. One more sweep on these, and then I am going to get back to it. Let's take a look over here. Yeah, I think we're all clear over here. And are we clear here? Indeed, we are. All right. So, a good time is going to be had by all, right? When it comes to the convention. All right, guys. Well, that is going to be a wrap. 42 minutes. It'll be 45 of this. So not bad. I mean, I'm only 15 minutes short. But I want to thank you guys for your questions tonight. I'm not sure, because I haven't seen the schedule yet, whether I will be here with you next Thursday. I'll look at the schedule and find out. We'll figure out what we need to do to make it happen or make it up or whatever it is. I see some waving. So apparently no, right? No? Okay. Won't see you next Thursday. Maybe we'll do something special from the floor of the convention. Maybe we'll do that. I don't know. We'll figure something out. But anyway, that being said, a few reminders before we bounce out of here. First and foremost, you've heard me mention it a lot, but go ahead. If you are not on the Texian app, do so. Head over to texian.app. And also, look, if you're on your mobile device, just go to texian.app/get, G-E-T, and it will take you to the appropriate download for your device, whether it's Apple or Android, and do that. But get locked in, organize, act, and connect. Also, the Texian store, your purveyor of the finest merchandise with the T&M and TEXIT themed stuff. You're going to want to go check that out. And I have it on good authority that three things, two of which you guys have been asking for quite some time, are about to hit the Texian store. So be on the lookout for those probably in the next 24 hours or so, right? I think it's supposed to hit over the weekend. But you're going to want to check that out. You guys are going to, some of you are going to freak because you've been wanting these for quite some time. Additionally, look, get all your news, Pro TEXIT News, the official news outlet of the TNM. Head over to TexianPartisan.com and be sure you're on the email list over there as well, so you can get all the latest when we post brand new things, lots of cool stuff. Oh, and yeah, like the last 3 interviews I've done are over there in Texian Partisan as well, right? The one that I did with Josh Tolley posted this morning, and of course the interview that I did with the Doc Olachak with the Thomas Jefferson Scholar. I'm trying to think of the word. That interview's there as well. So go check those out and let me know what you think. Give your feedback. Go there and thank them for interviewing, giving us airtime, interviewing us, and giving us an opportunity to share our viewpoint on the independence of Texas. So be sure to make that happen. All right, friends, that is a wrap. It is time for me to get back to work because I really want to get this thing done. There's so much that we've got in store for you. Just can't believe it. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with the words I leave you with every time we're together. They're not my words. They're the words of Sam Houston when he said that Texas will again lift its head and stand among the nations. I believe that time is now, and the question is, will you stand with her? Good night, everyone.